Welcome to the Chronicles of a Cheating Wife channel. A new story every day. Don't forget to subscribe. Maybe you just aren't right for me. Her voice snaps through my head before I even realize I'm still on the floor. I taste dust on the side of my cheek, the hard wood against my ribs. There's a throbbing in my elbow from how I landed. I should push myself up. But for a moment, all I can do is stare at the space where the wall meets the baseboard. It's easier to look at that line, to feel the grit under my fingertips, than to face the next blow. A short laugh rasps out of my throat. It starts as a groan, but it turns dark, bitter, almost like a cough. I try to pull my knees up. There's a slow ache in my lower back, as if an old injury's flaring up again. My mind tries to pin down when I started hurting. 5 minutes ago. 5 months ago. The damage runs far deeper than any bruise on my spine. Still, I manage to get one palm pressed to the floor. My shoulder screams, but I shove until I'm halfway sitting. "Rick," she repeats, exasperated. "You're making this harder than it has to be." I let out a grunt. My response comes in a low single word. "Yeah." She exhales, long and dramatic. "I just think we need to face it. Maybe we aren't. Maybe we never really were a perfect fit. People drift, you know. They change." I manage to get my back against the wall, still on the floor, staring up at her. She's looking down, arms folded across her chest, eyes flicking with that mixture of pity and annoyance I've come to expect. My knees are bent, my breathing shallow. "I see," I say. Her gaze is on me, but not with concern. There's a distance. "Does it make sense now?" she presses. "After everything, can't we just be honest?" I bite back an answer. My heart's in my throat. I rub my hand over the stubble on my jaw. I can feel my pulse in every bruise on my body. For a second, I remember that old skateboarding accident at 15, the way raw asphalt chewed through my shirt. That was child's play compared to right now. This pain, the one that wraps around my ribs, is something else. "Right," I say. "Then stand up," she says, voice going taut. "Stand up, Rick. Or do you want to sit there forever?" For a moment, I think I do want to stay here on the floor. Because the moment I get up, I'll have to face her, face the next wave of her words. That tone, that casual cruelty that's so new coming from her mouth. But I push my hand against the floor again, feeling the dull burn of muscle and bone that's had enough. Finally, I rise. I'm a little dizzy, knees protesting. I lean against the wall, ignoring the swirl in my vision. She picks up her phone from the coffee table. Her nails are done in a smooth pale polish, not a single chip. A detail that stands out to me, how perfectly she maintains her appearance, even when everything else is rotting. I see her face shift as she glances at the screen. She tries to hide it, but I can tell. She's checking if he's texted or not. I close my eyes for a second. "Yeah, I manage." She looks at me. "What?" One short syllable. "Yeah." That's all I can say. My thoughts are a locked box. The only thing I want is to keep breathing, keep standing, keep my voice low so I don't let her hear the ragged desperation in my chest. She sighs like it's all become too burdensome, shakes her head, and tucks the phone into her purse. "We'll talk later," she says. Then she glances around the living room. My living room. The one I used to imagine would have kids' toys scattered in the corners. She moves to the doorway, leaving me alone in the half-lit space. My back slides down against the wall again the moment I hear the click of her heels in the hallway. I land back on the floor. Exhale. The same dust tickles my nose. The same throb in my elbow. But there's another ache opening in my chest. A slow burn of realization. This is it. It's not that I didn't suspect. Any man with a shred of intuition would have felt the distance she put between us. The extra hours at the office, the cryptic text messages, the sudden new hobbies, new secrets. But hearing her say it so calmly, "Maybe you just aren't right for me." That's the kind of line you can't unhear. And so here I am, pinned to the floor by the weight of everything undone. I force myself to get up. I do it in increments, knees, then hips, until I'm on my feet. My heartbeat is a hammer in my ears. She's already gone. The apartment is too quiet. I pick up the small packet of salt from the coffee table. It looks ridiculous in my big palm. This was something we joked about once. "So you'll never forget," she said. "I'll always be with you, even in your pocket." She laughed, pressing that silly little salt packet into my hand, as if it were a romantic token. Now the irony cuts deeper than any bruise. I limp to the kitchen and set the salt packet on the counter. My reflection in the window is a silhouette of a man who doesn't sleep well, shoulders too stiff, hair that's begun to thin. I open the fridge, half expecting to see a note that she left behind, but it's just empty shelves and a carton of milk. She used to keep the fridge stocked with fresh fruit and vegetables. These days, she barely bothers. The phone in my pocket vibrates. I'm hoping it's her. Part of me wants to hear what else she has to say, or maybe a text telling me everything was just a bad day or a momentary slip. But it's not her name on the screen. It's my coworker, Brad. I don't answer. I don't think I can muster small talk right now. Instead, I let it go to voicemail, and I stare out the window. A flock of blackbirds cuts across the pale sky, heading somewhere warmer. I wonder if they ever question themselves mid-flight. She left, just like that. A couple of days turned into weeks, and then months of silence. I got a note from her once. No, not exactly a note. It was a single text. "Need time. Don't wait." I stared at that line until the phone screen dimmed. Then I typed oak, but never pressed send. So it sat in the text window, unsent. Like me, stuck in between. I can't call it a neat break. It's more like she drifted away, piece by piece, until I realized I was living alone. I still had my job, of course, my stable, stolid manager's position at the insurance firm. Day after day, I'd show up in a decent suit, greet my team, push the usual spreadsheets, attend the usual meetings. Clients would shake my hand. I'd nod politely. And the hours would pass in an unending cycle, my mind never fully there. Sometimes I'd go out on the boat I'd had for years, just a small motorboat moored at the pier in the outskirts of Charleston. The boat we once dreamed of using for weekend getaways. Now it sat neglected, covered in gull droppings and dust. I'd spend a few hours scrubbing it down, half hoping she would come strolling along the pier and say, "I changed my mind. Let's go." But she never came. At some point, I got used to the loneliness. I told myself maybe she needed time. Or maybe I did. A man can rationalize almost anything if he's not ready to face the truth. Then one night, 8 months later, my phone lights up with a notification from TikTok. I almost delete it on instinct. She used to mention that app, how it was silly or fun, how people do random dances or short comedic bits. I never really cared. But something makes me tap the notification anyway. The video is only a few seconds. Dark. Filmed on a boat. My boat. I see the faint outline of a blanket, that familiar stitching I remember from a camping trip. There's soft laughter in the background, low and feminine. Her voice. Then the camera shifts, revealing just enough of her silhouette, the curve of her spine, the hair that used to fall over my chest at night. And then a male voice off camera, making another man's wife a happier woman. He chuckles, pressing up behind her. She moans, quietly but unmistakably. It's all in shadow, but I know the shape of her body. I know her slender arms and the slope of her shoulders. I know the sound she makes when she's aroused. I know that blanket because I'm the one who bought it for those stargazing nights we never really had time for. My mind floods with hot, pulsing shame. And that voice. This intruder, he keeps filming, capturing her half-whispered promises that once belonged to me. My stomach clenches, my fists too. I can taste salt on my lips, but it's not from any ocean breeze. It's the taste of betrayal. My hands shake around the phone. I see the little caption on the video. Screw the rules. Live your truth. And it's posted from an account I don't recognize, but the profile picture is them together. A candid shot of him. Some cocky grin, tanned skin, athletic shoulders, and half of her face leaning against him. The video has likes, comments. I see remarks like, so hot, or couple goals. I feel bile creeping up my throat. My entire body vibrates. My chest is tight. I can't breathe. I fling the phone onto the couch. The screen goes black, but the images burn behind my eyelids. Her. On my boat. With him. Screw the rules. Live your truth. The gall. The absolute disrespect. My heart threatens to blow a gasket. I can't even find words, so I let out a harsh bark of laughter that turns into a ragged, humorless wheeze. I press my palms to my knees, leaning forward, feeling that old, familiar sense of the floor tilting under me again. 1,000 thoughts race by, but one is clear. She's with him. That means no more illusions, no more quiet hopes that she might come back. She's gone. And not just gone, but publicly humiliating me, overshadowing the quiet man she once called her husband, with a flashy new flame who videotapes them fooling around on my property. I pick up the phone again, ignoring the swirl in my stomach. I look at the account. More videos, stupid little clips of them at bars on the beach. Then the one that makes my gut clench. She's wearing the blouse I bought her for our anniversary. She's got her arms around him. And she's looking at the camera like a cat with a fresh kill, saying, "We did it. We finally did it." Comments flood in, praising them for being brave. Brave? For what? Betraying me. I don't cry. I don't scream. I sit on the edge of the couch, phone in hand, letting a laugh build in my chest. It's a laugh tinted in black, a laugh that tastes like rust. Because this is insane. Because I can't believe the nerve. Because I'm at the edge of something, and the only way forward is to let the anger fill me up so I can do something about it. Kip, I've never been a violent man. That's not how I was raised. But to see them like that, flaunting it, hits me in a place I'd never known existed. My father taught me to be calm, to be reasoned. I'd always tried to be the stable rock in a shifting sea. But now that sea is pounding at me, fueling every nerve in my body with a savage energy I can barely contain. Still, I don't lash out blindly. Instead, I go cold inside. A man can do surprising things when he quiets all the trembling and focuses on a single aim. The truth must be brought to light. She had vanished without a word. But I discover quickly that she's not just gone. She's in close contact with her sister, who conveniently hasn't heard from her. Or so she claimed to me. A lie. Her sister who always gave me a bright smile and said, "Oh, Rick, I'll let you know if I see her." Now I know the truth. She's covering for her, even encouraging her. Because I find a short text conversation on our shared laptop. She forgot to log out. Her sister wrote, "Don't worry, I won't say anything. Just make sure you're happy." Then there's the neighbor. The one who lives across the hallway, who saw my wife sneaking in late or leaving in a hurry. She'd greet me politely in the elevator, never mentioning that my wife was stepping out with a man who wasn't me. She must have seen him, his arms around her, that swirl of lust and carelessness in their eyes. But she said nothing, just nodded hello and fiddled with her mail. And the coworker from her job, a man she defamed months ago to get a better position. She spread rumors that he was incompetent. She orchestrated entire stories about how he was slacking on deadlines. The company believed her. He got sidelined. She got the spotlight. Her ambition soared. And that was around the time I noticed the ring of new admirers circling her. One of them must have been him, the lover from the videos. I don't know if it's the same person, but her coworker sure got burned along the way. And apparently, after it all, she quit that place, jumped to a bigger marketing gig. No regrets, no apologies, but the final piece that stabs at me is her father, the old man she stuffed into a nursing home. She used to call me cruel if I even hinted that she visited him too little. "I do what I can," she'd say. Meanwhile, he sits in that home day after day waiting. Then I learn she hasn't visited him in months. He's alone, uncomprehending. He used to adore her. She rarely calls, from what I hear. It's like she burned through everything that once mattered. Family, friends, me, all left behind, or used in some stepping stone of her own chase for something she calls happiness. It stings. It also chills me to the bone. So I gather them, one by one, carefully. I call her sister, telling her I need her help to bring closure. She's hesitant, but she owes me at least a conversation. I manage to get her father's caretaker to arrange a short visit. The neighbor. I drop a line in the hallway, quietly. "I'm planning a small get-together," I say. "Could you come?" She doesn't want to. She's anxious. But I hold her gaze and say, "You saw everything, didn't you?" She goes pale, looks at the floor, and nods. I track down that coworker, the one she slandered. He's reluctant. "Why would I want to see her again, after what she did?" he asks, voice bitter. I speak calmly, telling him I just want closure. For me, for everyone. He hesitates, then says, "Fine. But don't expect me to be polite." In the span of a few days, I set the stage. Not for a showdown with fists or curses. No, I want silence. I want her to feel the gravity of what she's done when we line up, side by side, the ones she used and discarded. Maybe that's vengeance enough. Letting her look at us and see there's no excuse in the world that will wash away the shame. On the day it happens, I'm up early, pacing around the small dining table in my living room. I feel my ribs ache from the tension. I'm wearing a button-down shirt, no tie. My hair's combed back, but my eyes show no sign of rest. The place is quiet. I keep checking the time, waiting. One by one, they arrive. First her sister. She can't meet my gaze. She's wringing her hands. I seat her at the table. Next is the neighbor, who keeps blinking nervously, like she's expecting a blow to fall any second. She sits. The coworker enters, jaw set, eyes scanning the room as if he's bracing for a confrontation. Then her father, the old man. He's helped in by a caretaker who stands by the door, looking uneasy. The father's eyes are watery, but he grips my hand for a moment and says, "I don't know what I'm doing here, but I appreciate the ride." We sit in silence. 5 of us, each with our own reason to hate what she's done. The tension is thick. You can practically feel the guilt pressing down on the sister, the neighbor's fear, the coworker's simmering anger, and the father's confusion. I feel my own heart drumming. It's surreal. I glance at them, try to keep my posture calm, though my pulse is racing. Then she comes. She opens the door, probably expecting me alone. Instead, she finds us. Her sister, her old father, the coworker she wronged, the neighbor who watched in silence, and me at the head of the table. Her face drains of color. She steps back, eyes flicking from one person to the next, like she's scanning for the nearest exit. No one speaks. That's the plan. No accusations. Nothing. Just looks. Let her feel the weight. The father shifts, blinking in surprise. He looks at her with a kind of heartbreak that's impossible to hide. The coworker folds his arms, not hiding his contempt. The sister fidgets, tears pricking her eyes but not falling. The neighbor stares down at her hands, twisting them. She tries to say something. Her mouth opens, but the silence in the room is too thick. She swallows. She steps forward. I see her jaw tense. Her breathing picks up. She's cornered. She knows it. Her eyes flick to me, narrowing in anger, as if I orchestrated a trap. I stare back, letting the memory of that TikTok video roll through my mind, letting the humiliation anchor me so I don't waver. My chest tightens, but outwardly, I stay still. She finds her voice, half stammering. "Whoa. What is this? Why are you all here?" Her sister just looks away. No answer. The father tries to speak, but words fail him. The coworker's jaw sets, but he says nothing. The neighbor breathes shakily, but remains silent. I take the small packet of salt from my pocket, the same one she once gave me as a romantic token. I set it on the table in front of her, and I look at her. She opens her mouth again, as if to say something like, "What is that?" or "Why do you have that?" But the words catch in her throat. Suddenly, I see a flash of memory on her face. She knows exactly what this is. I tap the packet with my fingertip. Once. Gently. Then I step back. I can feel the tension in the air, like a storm about to break. She stands there, trembling. She glances at everyone, as if searching for a shred of pity. But none of us speak. The knowledge is there, unspoken. The father's eyes fill with tears. The coworker looks away in disgust. The neighbor exhales a trembling breath. Her sister closes her eyes, shoulders slumped. It's the silence that does it. Not yelling or cursing, but the quiet recognition that she can't spin a story out of this. She can't manipulate us with half-truths. We know. I see her lips quiver. She tries to form some sentence, maybe an apology, maybe an excuse. Instead, a small, choked sound escapes. She looks down at the salt packet, that mocking little symbol. My chest feels ready to explode. There's a part of me that wants to shout, to accuse, to lay out every last betrayal. But I don't. I let the moment stand on its own. Because this is bigger than words. It's the presence of the people she hurt and abandoned, all in one room, reminding her that she can't run away from what she did. Finally, she turns, stumbling toward the door. Her father calls out her name softly, heartbreak in every syllable. She hesitates, back turned, her hand on the doorknob. But the silence crushes any defiance she might have left. Then she yanks the door open and slips out into the hallway. No one follows her. For a moment, we stay there, all of us, bound by the tension, by the unspoken truth that she is the cause of our collective pain. Then the caretaker helps the old man stand. The father looks at me, sorrow etched in his gaze, and murmurs, "I'm sorry," as if it was his fault. I give his shoulder a gentle squeeze. He leaves, leaning on the caretaker's arm. Her sister manages a tearful glance in my direction, and mumbles something like, "I never wanted it to be this way." Then she hurries out, hunching her shoulders. The neighbor and coworker quietly make their exits too. Soon, I'm alone in the room. The salt packet still lying on the table. I pick it up, feeling its weight. Such a small, stupid thing. So full of meaning. The father calls me a week later. He says she hasn't come to see him. Her sister says the same. They don't know where she is. The coworker texts me out of the blue. She quit her new job, apparently. Heard it through the grapevine. The neighbor knocks on my door one evening, asking if I've heard anything. I say no, but inside, I feel a strange sense of resolution, because I don't need her presence to find my peace anymore. Something shifted that day at the table, in that silent confrontation. It felt like pulling a splinter out of my skin. Painful, but necessary. I start to notice small changes in myself. My back doesn't ache as much, though the memory of that day on the floor still echoes. I sleep better. I laugh with coworkers. My mind doesn't swirl with what-ifs. It's like I gutted the wound, let the poison drain out. That black humor that saved me from going insane still resurfaces from time to time. A dark chuckle in the back of my throat when I think about her filming with that bastard on my boat. "Screw the rules," he said. "Live your truth." I suppose that was their truth. Shallow, showy, worth nothing. But some nights, alone in my bedroom, I catch myself thinking of her face when we first got married. How she kissed me on the lips, pressing that silly salt packet into my palm, whispering, "So you'll always have a piece of me with you." I wonder if she ever thinks about those words, if she regrets them, if she regrets anything. Then I remember that video, how she moaned under his hands, how she wore the blouse I gave her. And the remorse fades, replaced by a grim laugh. Maybe she found exactly what she wanted. Maybe that's what some people do. Burn through every promise in their path until there's nothing left. Time rolls forward. The seasons shift. I focus on my job, make some changes, decide to handle bigger clients. I buy new suits, start going to the gym once or twice a week. My sister visits, and we talk about how we used to be so bright-eyed as kids. She asks me if I'm okay. I say, sure, a single syllable. She nods, gives me a sad smile, and changes the subject. I also find myself on the boat more often, wanting to reclaim it. I scrub it down thoroughly, paint over the scuffs. If there are ghosts, I drive them out with elbow grease. A friend from work goes fishing with me a few times. The water's calm. The air smells briny fresh. At night, sometimes, I'll just lie back on that old blanket, letting the moon wash over me. The same blanket from the Dan video. Yes, but it's mine. My boat, my city, my future. I won't let them claim it forever. Life becomes steadier. The father calls occasionally. He's too proud to say it directly, but I can tell he's grateful I still take the time to visit him. He says something one day that hits me harder than expected. Rick, a man becomes stronger after he faces his worst fear. Don't let her define who you are now. I nod silently. Because he's right. She walked away. She tore me open. But I've learned to stand again, not just physically from that day on the floor, but psychologically. It's not about wanting her back. It's about choosing to live, to become someone who's not broken by betrayal. A few more weeks pass. Then, out of nowhere, I get a phone call from an unknown number. I answer. A short pause. Then her voice. Hey. My heart stutters. I clear my throat. Yeah. I need to talk. She sounds hesitant, not quite the same confident woman who left me behind. Do you have a moment? I glance at the clock. My shift ended an hour ago. I'm in the office alone, finishing up. I run my fingers over a pen on my desk, noticing the trembling in my fingertips. Then I exhale. Yes, I say quietly. She hesitates, then bursts out a rapid string of words. She apologizes, sort of. She said she's had a hard time, that she never meant for things to go this far, that she was lost. She tries to weave an explanation about how we drifted apart. Maybe I went about it the wrong way, she stammers. I never planned to hurt you. My stomach twists. You're saying you never planned to, but you did. She's quiet. Then she sniffles. I know. It was a mistake. I regret it. And I'm sorry. But you have to understand. I cut her off. A single word. Stop. Silence from the other end. I stand up from my desk, my back stiff. I force a slow breath. The black humor slinks around my mind again, wanting to laugh at the absurdity of her calling me after all this time to say she regrets the way it turned out. But I keep my voice neutral. What is it you want? I ask. She tries to piece together some sort of reason. Maybe she wants closure. Maybe she wants to see me. Maybe she's in trouble with the man from the videos. She doesn't say that, but I can hear it in her tone. Something about him turned sour. She starts telling me how he was all excitement and passion at first, but then got controlling. I realized too late, she says, voice breaking. I was just trying to find happiness. And I messed up. I messed up everything. I pinch the bridge of my nose. My elbow throbs, a reminder of that day on the floor. Right. I say, forcing it out in one breath. It's not your responsibility, she adds quickly, but if you could just meet me somewhere to talk, No, I say, sudden and final. She stops mid-sentence. I can sense her shock. Maybe she expected some lecture, some meltdown, or maybe for me to be the reliable Rick who always said yes. But that's not me anymore. She whispers, I see. I keep the phone pressed to my ear, feeling the tension wind through my spine. Look, I say quietly, I let you hurt me once. I won't do it again. Her breath hitches. She tries to salvage it. Then can we just? I end the call. I gently set the phone down on my desk. My entire body trembles, from my shoulders down to my knees, but I'm not on the floor this time. I'm standing, steady. After a long moment, I pick up my jacket, turn off the office lights, and walk out with my head held high. The next few days, I brace myself for her to show up unexpectedly. She doesn't. Part of me wonders if she tried and lost the nerve. Another part doesn't care. I focus on the things that matter now. My job, my boat, the father who's become strangely dear to me, the coworker I still see occasionally. He's found a new role at a different firm, seems better off. We share a beer sometimes, talk about how life's too short to let a single betrayal tear us down. I meet the neighbor by the mailboxes, and we exchange a few quiet words. She smiles hesitantly, like she's relieved to see me holding up. A kernel of black humor remains in me. The kind that occasionally makes me chuckle for no reason, especially when I recall the viciousness of that video, the flamboyant TikTok post. I can't help but wonder if she regrets letting that man broadcast her betrayal for the world to see. She must have been enthralled by his confidence, his live your truth motto. He gave her the thrill she thought she needed. Now it's all come crashing down on her. Funny, in a twisted way, how that night on my boat with him ended up being the spark that destroyed her illusions, and maybe mine. But I walked through the flames and came out the other side. The final confrontation, our real, private confrontation, happens about a month after her phone call. I'm on the boat alone, drifting near a quiet bend in the river. It's twilight, the sky tinged purple and orange. I sit with my feet up, sipping a cold bottle of beer, letting the gentle waves slap the hull. The old blankets rolled at the foot of the bench. I don't feel haunted by it anymore. Suddenly, I hear a voice from the dock. I turn my head and see her standing there, hugging her arms, looking out over the water. My heart clenches. She looks different, hair a bit disheveled, shoulders sagging. She calls my name, uncertain. I don't move at first. Then, with a resigned sigh, I start the motor and steer the boat slowly toward the pier. She steps back, letting me cut the engine and tie off. Up close, I can see the lines of strain around her eyes. She tries to meet my gaze, then drops her eyes. I stand on the deck of the boat, one hand on the railing, uncertain what to say. She opened her mouth first. I didn't know where else to find you. I keep it short. Why are you here? She shivers a little, the evening breeze stirring her hair. I wanted to say sorry. I know it doesn't mean much, but I needed to see you, to tell you face to face. I exhale through my nose. All right, I say after a pause. She takes a step toward the boat, but doesn't climb aboard. She glances around at the peeling paint I haven't yet touched up. It's only half repainted. There's the net in a pile near the bench, a small cooler I brought with me. She sees the blanket. Her expression twists. Maybe she's thinking of that video too. Or maybe she's remembering when she promised me we'd take a trip down the coast, just the two of us. I messed up, she says quietly, turning her attention back to me. I was selfish. I was stupid. I hurt you in ways I can't undo. You deserved better. My knuckles tighten on the railing. Yes. She licks her lips, her voice trembling. I regret it, Rick. God, I regret it more than anything. You have no idea how. I shake my head. Don't, I say. Just that single word again. She falters. There's a long beat of silence, thick as molasses. We can hear the water lapping, the hum of insects. She inhales a shaky breath. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wanted you to know I'm leaving the city. I got a job offer in Florida. Something away from here. Away from him. From everyone. I'm going to try. I don't know. Try to start over. I study her face. The twilight shadows deepen the lines of stress. I see a woman who doesn't quite look like the one I married, but also not like the arrogant figure from those recent months. She's something else, a battered, regretful soul. Part of me wants to laugh, that same black laughter that saved me from weeping. Another part of me feels a flicker of pity. She dropped her gaze to the dock. Anyway, I just wanted to say goodbye. I consider that. The salt packet is in my pocket. I carry it sometimes, maybe as a reminder not to trust illusions. Slowly, I reach in and wrap my fingers around it. My body tenses with the memory of placing that packet in front of her at the table, of seeing her face collapse in silent guilt. She glances up, noticing my movement. I pull my hand out and open my palm, letting her see that small square of salt. She sucks in a breath. Her lower lip trembles. You said, I begin, voice raw, that you'd always be with me. You gave me this, like a promise. Her eyes brim with tears, but she doesn't let them spill. She just nods miserably. Maybe we both made promises we couldn't keep, I say. She nods again, swallowing hard. I turn and drop the packet on the boat deck, near my feet. Let it fall like a piece of trash. Then I look up at her. Take it, I say quietly. She hesitates, then steps onto the boat, knees unsteady. She bends down, picks it up. For a moment, she clutches it in her hand as if it's a dead bird. Her shoulders shake. She murmurs, I'm sorry. I stand there, letting the silence speak for me. My chest is tight, my spine rigid. She lifts her eyes, and there's a question in them. Maybe a final plea for forgiveness, or for some part of me to show her kindness. But I stay silent, because forgiveness is not something I can hand out like a cheap souvenir. Not now. Maybe not ever. She closes her eyes. The tears drip, one by one, onto the boat's worn metal. Then she leaves. No big farewell, no drama. She just stumbles off the boat, stepping back onto the dock. She stops for a second, half turning to see if I'll speak. I don't. She pockets the salt, bows her head, and walks away. The sky darkens. My breath comes in shallow bursts for a while. I stare at the spot where she stood. She's gone, maybe for good this time. I don't move for a long while, letting the slow pulse of the water calm me, letting the pain in my chest settle into a dull ache. When I finally start the engine, I feel oddly light. She left with that salt packet, the same one she once bestowed on me like a vow. Now it's hers. She can bear the weight of it. I exhale, push the throttle, and steer away from the pier. The darkness envelops the boat, but I feel the breath of freedom in the wind. My heart beats heavily, still recovering from the confrontation, but there's a sense of release. She once told me, maybe you just aren't right for me. Fine. Maybe I wasn't, but that doesn't mean I don't belong to myself. A week later, I hear from her sister that she really did leave town. The father is upset, but there's nothing he can do. She said her goodbyes to him, or so the sister claims. I sense the father's heartbreak, but I also sense a kind of quiet acceptance in him. At least he's in good hands at the nursing home, and I visit him sometimes. He smiles to see me, calls me son, and never mentions her name if he can help it. The coworker sends me a text. Heard you saw her. You okay? I reply, I'm fine. He just gives a thumbs up. The neighbor rarely brings her up at all, but she and I have an unspoken understanding that the building is calmer without the secrets and hush-hush illusions. Time passes. My bruises, physical and mental, heal slowly. I keep that black humor around, the kind that sees me through any memory that might trigger anger or regret. I catch myself chuckling darkly in front of the mirror some mornings, remembering that fiasco of a TikTok video. But I don't let it consume me. Instead, I channel it into small improvements in my life. I change my routine. I reconnect with an old friend who invites me to a baseball game. I say yes. The day at the stadium is bright and loud and normal in the best possible way. Sometimes, when I'm drifting on my boat, letting the sunset paint the sky orange and pink, I sense a faint ache for the man I was when I believed her love was real and unwavering. That man is gone, replaced by a person who carries scars and a small spark of bitterness. But I also carry strength. I can stand on a deck, face the wind, and know that no betrayal can break me again. Her betrayal, her disappearance, her public flaunting of that fling, burned me to the bone. But as the father said, after the worst is faced, a man can rebuild. You find out what's left inside you when the illusions are stripped away. And sometimes, what remains is a surprising well of resilience. I think about that silent gathering around my table, her sister, her neighbor, her coworker, her father, all the watchers, the ones who knew or were victimized by her ambition or her lies or her neglect. In that hush, we brought a kind of cosmic verdict upon her. No official words, no condemnation, no raised voices, just the knowledge of what she did and how it shattered each of us. And in the end, it was enough. The hush that followed her out the door that day was the same hush that let me stand up again. It let me face the truth that I was still me, even if every vow she made turned to ash. I survived the blow, the floor, the heartbreak, the humiliation. Not only survived, endured. And I came out on the other side, reawakened, forging a new path. She walks the earth somewhere else now, maybe carrying regrets, maybe repeating the same mistakes. It doesn't matter. When I pass people on the street or chat with neighbors in the hall, I realize the rumor of her betrayal has spread quietly without my help. People sense the truth in the hush we left behind. The packet of salt is gone from my pocket, but the memory of it is sharper than any blade. That part of the story is over. There's no redoing it or dressing it up in pretty lies. I consider this as I sit at my kitchen table one evening, the overhead light buzzing softly. I sip a glass of water, staring at the blank surface. I find myself breathing easily, a calmness in my chest. My phone is silent, no messages from unknown numbers. She's not coming back. Good. I let my hand drift across the tabletop. I recall how I set that little salt packet in front of her. How the final blow I dealt was nothing more than letting her drown in the truth she created. In the end, I didn't have to strike her or shout or curse. Silence was enough. I feel that same silence now, wrapping around me like a quiet friend, telling me I'll be all right, telling me that sometimes the worst break can transform you into someone who can withstand storms you never thought you'd face, telling me that every betrayal, every heartbreak, every humiliating moment kneeling on the floor can be the spark that lights a fiercer resolve in your soul. I rise, finish my water, and flick off the light. Another day done, another step forward. The ache in my body from months ago has dimmed. My mind, once swirling with confusion, has settled. My future feels open, a little uncertain, but distinctly mine. And as I walk down the hallway to my bedroom, I let out a small, almost amused exhale. Not quite a laugh, but close. Because after everything, I'm still standing. And that, in itself, feels like one hell of a victory.